Ethan's eyes fluttered open, and for a moment he didn't know where he was. The first thing he noticed was the soft hum of machinery, almost like the quiet heartbeat of the room. His head ached, and his body felt weak, as if someone had emptied all his strength while he slept. Slowly, he tried to move, but a gentle pressure on his arm stopped him. "You should not rush," a soft, melodic voice said. Ethan froze. His eyes scanned the room, and for the first time he saw her, a figure unlike any human he had ever seen. She was humanoid in shape, but smaller than most humans. Her skin had a faint green glow, and her large eyes shimmered with pale amber light. Her long fingers were delicate, and she held a small device that emitted faint pulses of light. "Where am I?" Ethan croaked, his voice rough from disuse. "You are safe," she replied, tilting her head slightly, her luminous eyes watching him carefully. "You were in danger. The ship, your ship, had an accident." Ethan's mind raced. He remembered the mission, the deep space exploration, the routine survey of a nearby star system, and then nothing. Darkness, pain, and a strange sensation of floating. And now, he was here, in an alien room with this nurse. I remember the accident," he stammered. "The crash. What happened?" "You were unconscious," she said softly, and her lips curled into a small smile. "During that time, you held my hand." Ethan blinked, confused. "I held your hand?" She nodded. "Yes, you did it without knowing. It mattered." Her words carried a strange warmth, almost as if they were more than just information. They felt like a connection, something deeper than language could express. Ethan tried to move again, this time sitting up slowly. His muscles protested, but the alien nurse, Liara, as he would later learn her name, was there immediately, steadying him with a hand that felt soft and alive, yet entirely alien. "Careful," she said. "Your body is weak. You need rest." He looked around the room. The walls were smooth and metallic with panels that glowed softly. Strange symbols, unlike any writing he had ever seen, ran along the edges of the walls. The air smelled faintly sweet, almost like flowers, but not quite. The ceiling lights shifted color slowly, creating a calm atmosphere. "How long have I been out?" Ethan asked, his voice trembling. "A little over 48 Earth hours," Liara said. "Time moves differently here, but your body needed this rest." "You nearly did not survive the impact." Ethan's mind reeled. 2 days? He had survived? And these creatures? They had saved him. Despite being injured and unconscious, somehow he felt a strange sense of gratitude. "You are alien," he said, his words cautious. "Your species? You saved me?" Liara smiled softly, the glow in her eyes brightening slightly. "Yes, we value life, all life, especially those who are brave enough to explore the stars." Ethan felt a twinge of pride, but it was quickly mixed with confusion. "My crew. What about them?" Liara's expression softened, and she gestured to a small monitor near the bed. Images flickered, showing silhouettes of other humans. Some were awake and moving, others appeared still. "Your crew. Some survived. Some did not. You were the most injured." He swallowed hard. The reality of space travel, he realized, was far harsher than training or simulations could prepare him for. Yet seeing Liara's gentle presence gave him hope. Can I get up?" he asked finally. "Not yet," she said. "Your body is fragile. Let me help you." Slowly, carefully, she guided him through small exercises, moving his arms, sitting upright, even taking a few steps along the soft floor. Ethan marveled at how careful she was, how she seemed to understand human weakness without ever having been human herself. You are stronger than most humans, Liara said, as if reading his thoughts. But strength is not just in muscles, it is in heart, in courage, in patience. Ethan could only nod. There was a strange sincerity in her voice, a wisdom that made him want to trust her completely. Despite the alien surroundings, he felt safe. As the day passed, Ethan learned more about the ship. It was enormous, far larger than any human vessel he had ever seen. Its corridors twisted in ways that seemed impossible, yet everything had a purpose. Rooms for medical treatment, observation decks, and labs stretched as far as he could see. The crew was entirely alien, humanoid like Liara, but each individual had subtle differences: skin tones, eye shapes, and patterns of glowing veins that ran along their bodies. "They are studying us," Ethan said quietly, referring to the small group of aliens who occasionally glanced at him and whispered in their soft, melodic language. Liara looked at him. "We are learning, yes, but we also care. Your species has qualities rarely seen in the universe: empathy, courage, creativity. You do not see it in yourselves, but we do." Ethan felt a mixture of embarrassment and pride. Humans were often reckless, chaotic, and stubborn, yet here, in the eyes of another species, those same traits seemed admirable. As the hours passed, Ethan found himself drawn to Liara. She moved gracefully, spoke gently, and carried herself with a sense of calm purpose. Yet there was a warmth to her presence that was unexpected. She laughed sometimes, a soft giggle that echoed faintly in the sterile room, and every time she did, Ethan felt a strange lightness in his chest. "You giggle," he said one time, smiling weakly. It's nice." Liara tilted her head, her luminous eyes locking with his. "You held my hand," she repeated softly, "even when you did not know. It mattered more than you realize." Ethan frowned. "I don't understand." "You will," she said, her smile gentle. "Time reveals understanding. For now, focus on healing." Despite her words, Ethan could not stop thinking about what she had said. He could not remember holding her hand, yet the memory felt distant, like a dream lingering on the edge of consciousness. He wondered if it had been real, or if the aliens had some way of sensing his thoughts. Either way, the connection between them was undeniable. By the time the alien day ended, whatever that meant in their timekeeping system, Ethan was exhausted. Liara guided him back to the medical bed, adjusting the blankets with delicate precision. "Sleep," she said. "Dream of Earth, or of the stars, or of anything that brings you peace." Ethan closed his eyes, and as he drifted into sleep, he felt a strange, comforting warmth on his hand. It was subtle, yet unmistakable. He remembered fleetingly a soft grip, a gentle touch, and the words, "You held my hand." Somewhere deep inside, he knew that the universe was larger than he had ever imagined, and that somehow humans mattered in ways he had yet to discover. Ethan awoke to the soft glow of the alien room once more. The hum of the ship was steady, calming, almost like a quiet song that wrapped around him. His body felt stronger than the day before, though he still moved with caution. Liara was already there, as always, tending to his needs with gentle precision. "Good morning," she said, her melodic voice echoing slightly. "You rested well." Ethan nodded, rubbing the stiffness from his neck. "Better, thanks to you." Liara tilted her head and smiled. "Your gratitude is noted, but you must also learn to rest. Healing is not just physical." Ethan looked around the room, then back at her. "I keep thinking about what you said, about holding your hand. I don't remember it, but it feels important." Liara's eyes softened. "Sometimes, actions taken without thought carry more weight than those we consider carefully. Your instinct, your care, reached me." Ethan felt a strange warmth at her words. There was something in Liara's tone that made him feel understood, even though she was not human. For the first time since waking on the alien ship, he felt a real connection, not just as a patient, but as a person. Over the next hours, Ethan explored more of the medical bay with her guidance. The ship itself was a marvel. Its walls shimmered with soft colors, shifting like liquid light, and its corridors twisted in ways that defied human geometry. He could see labs, observation decks, and living quarters for the alien crew. Everything had a purpose, and yet it felt alive. "Your ship is incredible," Ethan said, running a hand along a glowing wall panel. "I've never seen anything like it." Liara nodded. "It was built for exploration and healing, for life. We preserve knowledge and life wherever we travel." Ethan studied her as she worked. Every movement was precise, graceful, almost choreographed. Yet there was a warmth in her gestures, a sense of care that seemed almost human. "You move like you know exactly what you're doing," he said. "Do you ever make mistakes?" Liara's smile was gentle. "We learn from them. But mistakes are less dangerous when one acts with awareness. And humans, you teach us about courage and creativity. You are not always precise, but your heart guides you." Ethan's chest swelled with pride. No one had ever said that about humans before. He had spent his life among other humans who were often critical, competitive, and impatient. But here, in the eyes of an alien, he felt admiration, respect, and even wonder. Over the next few days, Ethan and Liara developed a routine. He trained his body gently, regaining strength. She taught him about her species' biology, their ways of thinking, and even their subtle forms of communication that went beyond words. In return, Ethan taught her about humans, our humor, our curiosity, our emotions. One afternoon, while Liara demonstrated a medical technique, Ethan laughed. "You're laughing at me," she said, looking slightly surprised. "No," he said, grinning. "I'm laughing with you. It's strange, seeing someone so serious trying to imitate human laughter." Liara's eyes widened, then she giggled softly. The sound was musical, light, and it filled the room with warmth. Ethan's heart skipped. It was the same laugh he remembered from the first day, a sign of her growing comfort and trust. "You are peculiar," she said, still smiling. "Humans are curious and unpredictable. I like this about you." Ethan felt a small thrill of happiness. Here, in a distant star system, he had found someone who appreciated him for more than his skills or strength. Liara's acknowledgement felt rare, even miraculous. Days turned into weeks, and Ethan began to understand more about the aliens' fascination with humans. Their science was advanced, yet there was a humility in their knowledge. They studied, observed, and learned. But humans had something they had not fully experienced: the raw force of empathy, courage, and hope. One evening, Liara guided him to a balcony overlooking the stars. The view was breathtaking. Nebulas painted the sky in brilliant colors, and distant planets spun silently in the void. "This view," Ethan whispered. "It's like nothing I've ever seen." Liara nodded. "The universe is vast, and yet small acts, like yours, can ripple across it." "What do you mean?" Ethan asked. "You held my hand," she said softly. "In that moment, you acted without fear or expectation. You reached out, and it changed something within me. Your kind, your courage, your heart. It leaves marks in ways you do not see." Ethan stared at her, trying to process her words. It was strange, surreal, and yet profoundly moving. Humans were often told they were fragile, insignificant in the universe, but here was a being from another star system telling him that even a small human gesture could matter. "Humans can make a difference," he said finally, his voice steady. Even here, in the middle of the stars. Liara's eyes glimmered. Yes, and I have seen it. I have felt it. Your species is remarkable. That night, as Ethan lay in his bed, he replayed the day in his mind. He thought about Liara's laughter, her words, her gentle guidance. He realized he was not just a visitor or a patient. He was part of something larger, something that transcended species or planets. Over the following days, Ethan and Liara began to share stories of their lives. He told her about Earth, about the oceans, forests, cities, and the small wonders humans often overlooked. Liara listened intently, asking questions, laughing at his jokes, and occasionally showing awe at human inventions and traditions. In return, Liara shared stories of her species, their history, their journeys across galaxies, their philosophy of care and preservation. She showed him devices that healed without injury, tools that could analyze planets in seconds, and ways of thinking that were entirely alien yet beautiful. Ethan realized that the more he learned, the more he admired them. And yet what fascinated him most was how they admired humans. He had always thought of humans as fragile, limited, and often petty. But these aliens saw courage, creativity, and compassion in him and his species. One afternoon, as they worked together in the medical bay, Liara paused and looked at him. Ethan, there is something I want you to understand. What is it? He asked. You have shown me something I did not fully believe before, she said. Humans, your species, has the ability to inspire, even in the vastness of space, even to those who are not your own kind. You do not always know it, but your actions, your empathy, your courage, they leave impressions that last. Ethan swallowed, feeling a mix of humility and pride. I never thought of it that way. I just try to do what's right. Liara smiled softly. And that is enough. It is more than enough. That is what makes humans remarkable. Ethan looked into her glowing eyes and felt a connection deeper than words could describe. In a strange alien world, far from Earth, he had found not only a friend, but someone who truly saw him, and humans, for what they could be. As the alien day drew to a close, Ethan reflected on the events of the past weeks. He had survived a near-fatal accident, learned to trust a species entirely different from his own, and discovered that humans could leave a mark on the universe in ways they had never imagined. Liara's soft giggle echoed in his memory, and he remembered her words. You held my hand. It was not just a literal memory, he realized. It was symbolic. Proof that simple acts of courage and kindness could create bonds that transcended planets, species, and even the vast emptiness of space. For the first time since waking on the alien ship, Ethan felt hope, not just for himself, but for humanity. He understood now that humans were capable of leaving their mark on the universe, not through weapons or conquest, but through empathy, bravery, and the courage to connect with others, even across the stars. And with Liara by his side, he felt that anything was possible. Ethan awoke to a sharp vibration running through the ship. The steady hum of the engines had been replaced by a low, urgent pulse. Red lights flashed along the walls, casting long shadows across the room. Liara was already at his side, her expression calm but serious. Ethan, she said, something is happening. A cosmic storm is approaching. It is unlike anything we have encountered before. Ethan's heart raced. He had trained for emergencies on Earth, in simulations, but nothing compared to a natural disaster in deep space. How dangerous is it? He asked. Liara glanced at the monitors. It could destroy weaker ships and damage even ours. But we have a chance. We must act quickly. He nodded, rising from the bed despite the soreness in his muscles. Liara's hand rested lightly on his shoulder. Careful, she warned. We need your mind as much as your body." Together, they hurried through the corridors. The ship's crew was already responding, moving with precision and efficiency. Ethan could see the difference between human and alien reactions. The aliens worked without panic, communicating through gestures, soft sounds, and glowing symbols in the air. Yet, for all their skill, there was hesitation. They were unfamiliar with unpredictable situations that required improvisation. Ethan felt a surge of determination. Humans were not always perfect, but they thrived in chaos. He stepped forward. "Tell me what to do," he said. Liara looked at him, a flicker of surprise in her luminous eyes. "You want to help?" "Yes," he said firmly. "I may not know all your systems, but humans can think on their feet. Let me try." The aliens hesitated for a moment, then nodded. Liara led him to the ship's control center. Panels flashed with warnings. Screens displayed swirling clouds of plasma, debris, and energy lines from the approaching storm. Ethan studied the data quickly. "The storm is not uniform," he said. "There are weak points in the plasma currents. If we adjust the shields and reroute power, we can navigate through safely." Liara's eyes widened. "That is a human solution. Clever." Ethan worked quickly, following Liara's guidance but improvising based on his instincts. He rerouted energy to the main shields, then calculated angles for the ship to move through the gaps in the storm. The aliens watched, fascinated by the way he combined logic and intuition, speed and creativity. "Steady," Liara said, placing a hand on his arm. "The ship's response is slow. You must anticipate." Ethan's mind raced. He adjusted the controls, predicting the storm's unpredictable shifts. Sparks flew from a damaged console, and alarms blared. One wrong move could mean disaster. But he remembered the training, the simulations, and the instincts that humans had honed over millennia: adapt, survive, protect others. "Hold the shields at maximum for 3 seconds, he instructed. "Then rotate 20 degrees starboard, now." Liara's fingers flew over the controls, and the ship shuddered as the energy redistributed. Ethan felt the pulse of the storm through the floor, the vibration shaking him to his core. Yet the ship held. A cheer echoed from the alien crew, a sound he could barely understand but that filled him with pride. For a moment, he allowed himself to feel it, human ingenuity making a difference in an alien world. The storm raged for hours, testing the crew and the ship to their limits. Ethan and Liara worked side by side, anticipating the plasma currents, adjusting the shields, and guiding the ship through debris fields. Every decision counted, every move mattered. At one point, a massive energy wave struck the ship's hull. Lights flickered, alarms screamed, and debris bounced across the control center. Ethan shouted, "Divert power to the secondary shields, now!" Liara acted immediately, and the ship groaned under the pressure. The wave passed, leaving the crew shaken but intact. The aliens exchanged glances, admiration in their glowing eyes. They had seen courage before, but humans like Ethan displayed quick thinking and determination in a way that was rare. "You are remarkable," Liara said softly, as they worked together to stabilize the ship. "Your species thrives under pressure. You adapt, you endure, you inspire." Ethan shook his head, focusing on the next challenge. "It's not just me," he said. "We're all working together, humans, aliens. It doesn't matter. We survive together." Liara's gaze lingered on him. There was pride, yes, but also a quiet respect, a recognition that humans had something unique to offer. Ethan realized that every action, every choice he made, was leaving a mark not just on the ship, but on the minds of the aliens around him. Hours passed, and slowly, the storm began to subside. The ship was battered but intact. The crew, both human and alien, exhaled collectively, relief washing over them like a wave. Ethan sank into a chair, exhausted but alive. Liara approached, her steps silent on the metallic floor. "You have done well," she said, placing a hand on his shoulder. "You saved many lives today. Not just humans, but ours as well." Ethan looked at her, feeling a mix of fatigue and pride. "We did it together," he said, his voice hoarse. "I just used what humans do best. Adapt, survive, think fast." Liara smiled softly. And it was enough. It was more than enough. The crew gathered in the control center, repairing minor damage and sharing quiet words of relief. Ethan walked among them, noticing the admiration in their eyes. They were not just grateful, they were impressed. Humans had something alien technology could not teach: instinct, courage, and heart under pressure. Later, Ethan found a quiet moment with Liara on the balcony overlooking space. The stars were blurred by the storm's remnants, and the void seemed quieter, almost serene. "You did well," Liara said, her eyes glowing faintly. "You showed us that humans are more than we imagined." Ethan shook his head. "I just reacted. I didn't think about being impressive." "Sometimes that is exactly what makes your species remarkable," Liara replied. "You act without calculation, guided by intuition and courage. That is something we admire greatly." Ethan smiled faintly, feeling a mix of humility and pride. He had survived a storm that could have destroyed the ship, not just because of training or technology, but because humans had a way of thinking that was fluid, instinctive, and brave. As they returned to the control center, Ethan realized something important. Humanity's strength was not in machines or weapons, but in the ability to connect, adapt, and persevere. Even far from Earth, among beings who had traveled across galaxies, humans could leave a mark, not through power, but through courage and compassion. Liara watched him quietly, sensing the bond that had formed between them. There was admiration, yes, but also something deeper. A recognition of shared purpose, of respect across species. "Ethan," she said softly, "tonight you rest. Tomorrow there will be more to do, but know this: your presence has changed more than you realize. The crew, we see it. You see it in yourself, too." Ethan nodded, exhausted but content. He had faced a cosmic storm, helped save lives, and discovered that human ingenuity and bravery could inspire even the most advanced alien beings. As he lay down that night, he reflected on everything that had happened. The storm had tested him in ways he never imagined, yet it also showed him something incredible: that humans, no matter how small or fragile they seemed, could make a real difference in the universe. And somewhere, deep inside, he felt a quiet sense of pride. Not arrogance, but a recognition that humans were capable of leaving a mark through courage, empathy, and the simple act of reaching out to help others. Liara's words echoed in his mind. "You held my hand." This time, Ethan understood fully. It was not just a memory, it was a symbol of human courage, connection, and the power to change even the vast emptiness of space. The storm had passed, leaving the ship battered but alive. Ethan moved carefully through the corridors, feeling both fatigue and relief. The hum of the engines was steady again, but the ship seemed quieter now, as if it were recovering along with its crew. Liara met him near the observation deck. Her amber eyes glimmered softly in the dim light. "Ethan," she said, "there is something I wish to show you. It is important." Curiosity sparked. Ethan followed her through twisting corridors to a section of the ship he had not yet seen. The walls shimmered with soft green light, and the air was warmer here. The door opened to reveal a large chamber filled with strange devices and glowing panels. It was a laboratory unlike anything Ethan had imagined. "What is this place?" he asked, stepping inside cautiously. Liara smiled. This is where we study life. Its forms, its patterns, its minds. Humans are unique. That is why I wanted to show you." Ethan walked slowly, taking in the instruments and displays. Some screens showed detailed maps of planets, others displayed alien anatomy. And then he noticed them, data points labeled human interaction patterns, charts, images, and sequences that tracked his time on the ship, his movements, and even small gestures like holding Liara's hand. "You studied me?" Ethan asked, astonished. "All this time?" Liara nodded. "Yes, but not in the way you might think. We did not interfere. We observed and we learned. Your actions, your instinctive care, left traces, not just on me, but on the system itself. Your behavior affected our algorithms, our responses, even the crew's understanding of human traits." Ethan felt a mix of awe and humility. "I didn't do anything special," he said softly. "I was just being human." "And that is why it is special," Liara said. "Humans act with empathy, courage, and intuition. You do not always calculate, but your actions inspire. You reach out, you care, and it changes us." Ethan moved closer to a display, studying the images of himself. There was the moment he had first awoken, weak and disoriented. Another moment showed him helping repair a control panel during the storm. And there, holding Liara's hand while she tended to him, a gesture so small, yet so powerful. "I don't remember all of this," he admitted. "I didn't know my actions could affect anyone like that." Liara placed her hand lightly on his arm. "Sometimes the simplest gestures carry the most weight. You held my hand not knowing it mattered. And yet, it did. It created a bond, a connection that our species rarely experiences. You taught us about human empathy." Ethan felt a lump in his throat. He had faced danger, fear, and uncertainty, yet he had never imagined that his instinctive care could have such significance. He realized that humans could inspire even the most advanced civilizations, not through power or technology, but through heart, courage, and compassion. Liara gestured to a larger screen. It showed the storm from the previous day, the ship navigating through the chaotic plasma currents. Ethan recognized the maneuvers he had suggested, the split-second decisions he had made. "You see," Liara said, "your instincts guided us. The ship survived because of you. Humans, your species has qualities we study but rarely experience firsthand. Courage, quick thinking, empathy. These are uniquely yours." Ethan sat down, trying to absorb it all. "So, I'm not just a survivor. I'm an example." "Yes," Liara said softly. "An example of what humans can achieve, not through domination or force, but through thought, courage, and care. You remind us that intelligence alone is not enough. Compassion and intuition matter equally." For hours, Liara showed him more of the laboratory, devices that analyzed emotional responses, tools that could measure subtle energy shifts in the environment, and databanks that stored centuries of alien knowledge. And throughout it all, Ethan noticed something remarkable. The aliens respected humans. They admired what he represented. "You've changed how we see your species," Liara said, as they paused near a window overlooking the stars. "Your presence here? It is a reminder that humans are capable of greatness, even beyond their own world." Ethan looked out at the stars, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. He had never thought of himself as special. He was just a human, one of billions. But here, far from Earth, his instincts, courage, and care had made a difference. Liara continued, "You may not understand now, but your time here will have lasting effects. The crew, the ship, even me. We have learned from you. And that is the essence of humanity, the ability to inspire, to connect, to change the world without even realizing it." Ethan turned to her, a soft smile forming on his face. It's strange, he said. I always thought humans were small and fragile, just another species. But maybe we're more than we realize. Liara's eyes glimmered. Yes, more than you realize, and you have shown us the way. As the day turned into night, or whatever the ship's cycle considered night, Ethan felt a sense of peace. The storm had tested him, and the laboratory had revealed the significance of his actions. He had survived, yes, but more importantly, he had shown aliens what humans could truly offer. Later, Liara guided him back to the observation deck. The stars were clear now, distant suns and planets shining like jewels in the void. Ethan took a deep breath. The universe was vast, mysterious, and often dangerous. Yet despite its enormity, he felt connected. Humans were small, but they mattered. They could reach across space, touch lives, and inspire even those who were not of their kind. You see the stars, Liara said softly. They are beautiful, but they are distant. Yet your actions, your courage, it reaches even here, across light years, shaping how we see the universe. Ethan nodded, staring at the vastness before him. He understood now that bravery, empathy, and connection were more powerful than he had ever imagined. Humans might be fragile, but their spirit could leave a mark across galaxies. Liara stepped closer. Ethan, there is one more thing you must know. What is it? He asked. When you held my hand, it was not just a gesture. It formed a bond between us, between human and alien. That bond, it will guide future interactions between our species. You have created something rare, something valuable. Trust, understanding, and connection. It is a gift. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. He had acted without thinking, simply responding with care, and yet the consequences were profound. I didn't know I could do that, he whispered. You did, Liara said softly. And that is why humans are remarkable. You act with instinct, with heart, and sometimes that is enough to change the course of events, even across the stars. Ethan stared at her, realizing something fundamental. Humans were more than explorers, survivors, or scientists. They were connectors, inspirers, and problem solvers. Their small actions could ripple across civilizations, touching hearts and shaping minds in ways no machine or technology could replicate. Liara's hand brushed his once more, a gentle reminder of the bond they shared. Rest now, she said. Tomorrow we will continue. There is more to discover, more to learn, more to inspire. Ethan lay down, gazing at the stars beyond the observation deck. The storm had tested him. The laboratory had revealed the impact of his humanity, and the bond with Liara had shown him that even in the cold vastness of space, connection, courage, and care could create something lasting, something beautiful. For the first time, he felt truly at peace. He understood that humans mattered, not through weapons or power, but through heart, courage, and the ability to reach out and touch others, even in ways unseen. And as he drifted into sleep, he smiled softly, remembering Liara's words. You held my hand. It was not just a memory. It was a symbol of human strength, of connection, and of the mark that one small act could leave in the vast universe. Ethan awoke to the gentle hum of the ship's engines, a sound he had grown used to over the past weeks. The storm had long passed, the ship repaired, and the alien crew moving with calm efficiency. The observation deck displayed a breathtaking view, a vast field of stars, nebulae glowing in soft colors, and a nearby planet that shimmered like a jewel in the void. Liara appeared at his side, as she always did, her amber eyes bright with warmth. Good morning, Ethan, she said softly. The crew is preparing for arrival at the nearest station. We will be safe soon. Ethan rose, stretching his limbs. His body felt strong again, but his mind was heavy with thoughts. Over the past weeks he had faced a storm, helped save lives, and learned that his simple human instincts, courage, empathy, and care, had left a mark on the aliens around him. Now he was about to make another choice, one that would define his future. Liara guided him to a quiet balcony overlooking the stars. The wind of the ship's movement was absent, yet the air felt alive with quiet energy. "Ethan," she said, "you have changed more than you realize. You have shown us what humans can do. But soon you must decide. Your path." Ethan looked at her, unsure. "You mean, stay or go?" "Yes," Liara replied. Her voice was gentle but firm. "You may return to your world, back to Earth, to share what you have learned. Or you may remain with us, to continue exploring and teaching, guiding humans and aliens alike." He stared at the stars. Earth called to him in memory and longing. The oceans, forests, cities, and people who depended on him, even if they didn't know it. Yet here, far from home, he had found connection, admiration, and even love in a bond that transcended species. The thought of leaving Liara felt heavy in his chest. I don't know," he admitted. "I've never faced a choice like this." Liara smiled softly, stepping closer. "Sometimes the hardest choices are also the most important. You have already done something remarkable. You have inspired, guided, and connected. Whatever you choose, the impact of your actions will remain." Ethan thought back to the storm, to the moments when his instincts saved lives, to the quiet times he had spent with Liara, sharing stories, laughter, and learning. Humans were capable of leaving a mark, he realized, through courage, through care, and through small gestures that could ripple across worlds. Finally, he spoke. "I need to return to Earth. There are people who need to know that humans are capable of more than they realize, that we can inspire, even beyond our world." Liara's eyes glimmered, a mix of pride and sadness. "Then go," she said softly. "But know this, you will always leave a part of yourself here, and we will never forget the bond we share." Ethan nodded, swallowing hard. The thought of leaving the ship and Liara behind was painful, but he knew it was the right choice. Humans had much to offer, and it was his duty to return, to share the lessons he had learned, not just for survival, but for understanding and hope. The journey to the alien station was smooth. Ethan walked through the corridors one last time, observing the crew who had come to respect and admire him. They were calm, efficient, yet there was a quiet acknowledgement in their eyes, a recognition of what humans could accomplish. Liara met him at the airlock. She held a small device in her hand, a token of their bond, a symbol that transcended words. "This is for you," she said, "a reminder that humans matter, that courage, empathy, and connection leave marks that last, even across the stars." Ethan accepted the device, holding it carefully. "I'll never forget," he said, "and I'll tell others about humans, about what we can do, about you." Liara's smile softened, and she reached out, brushing his hand once more. "You held my hand once, Ethan. You did not know it, but it mattered. And now your actions, your spirit, will matter for generations, both human and alien." Ethan felt a surge of emotion, warmth filling his chest. "I will remember," he whispered. "Always." The airlock doors opened, and the station beyond was a marvel of alien design. Towers of smooth, glowing metal, with fields of energy that shimmered like auroras. Ethan took a deep breath. Earth called to him, but he also felt the connection to this distant world, to Liara, and to the crew who had trusted him. "Goodbye, Ethan," Liara said softly. May your journey be safe, and may your species continue to inspire. Goodbye, Liara, he said, and thank you for everything. He stepped forward, leaving the ship behind, carrying with him not just knowledge of alien worlds, but the understanding that humans could make a real difference. His courage, empathy, and instincts had touched lives, changed perceptions, and formed bonds that would last far beyond his presence. On the way back to Earth, Ethan reflected on everything he had experienced. The storm had tested him, revealing human ingenuity and bravery. The laboratory had shown him the profound impact of small gestures, and Liara's presence had taught him that connection, empathy, and care were universal strengths. He realized that humans were not fragile, not insignificant. They were explorers, connectors, and inspirers. Even in the vast emptiness of space, human actions could leave ripples that shaped worlds and touched hearts. Days later, Ethan finally returned to Earth. The familiar blue of the oceans, the green of the forests, and the bustling cities welcomed him. Yet he was changed. He carried with him a new understanding, a new appreciation for what humans could achieve. He shared his experiences, not just the technical knowledge or stories of alien worlds, but the lessons of empathy, courage, and connection. He told people about Liara, about the bond that had formed, and about the ways humans could leave a mark on the universe, not through force, but through heart and spirit. People listened, inspired. Some were skeptical, but many understood. Slowly, the story spread, and humans began to see themselves differently, not as fragile beings confined to one planet, but as species capable of connection, bravery, and lasting impact. And somewhere, far across the stars, Liara and the alien crew remembered him. They remembered the human who had held her hand, who had faced a storm with courage and instinct, and who had shown them that humanity was remarkable. Ethan looked up at the night sky, stars twinkling as they always had, and smiled. Humans had a place in the universe, not because of strength or technology alone, but because of heart, courage, and the ability to inspire. He held the small device Liara had given him in his hand, feeling the warmth of their bond. "You held my hand," the words echoed in his mind. A symbol of the power of human connection, and a reminder that even the smallest gestures could change the course of events. Ethan knew that humanity's journey was just beginning. The universe was vast, full of challenges and wonders, and humans had the ability to leave their mark. They could explore, connect, inspire, and change the universe, not through force, but through empathy, courage, and the willingness to reach out. As he walked through Earth's familiar landscapes, Ethan felt hope. Humans could do great things. They could inspire others, alien or human, through actions that reflected their best qualities. And he knew that somewhere Liara was watching the stars, remembering the human who had touched her heart and left an indelible mark on her world. The story of their bond, of courage and care, of survival and connection, would endure. Across light years and species, humans would continue to matter. And Ethan, the explorer who had awakened beside an alien nurse, would always remember that even a simple act of holding a hand could change the universe. He smiled once more, feeling the weight and joy of possibility. Humanity was capable of greatness, and the stars were waiting.